Hey everybody, this is Perch. If you followed this channel for a length of time, I don't like variant covers. I also don't like the paving job on a lot of these Texas roads. It's like they just drive around in a truck sometimes. They just shit out a bunch of asphalt onto the top of a road. There's like, some of the roads are in bad repair. There's holes in them, and so they just come and dump some asphalt out, and they kind of half-assed like spread it around a bit and then just go. Like that, there's no like smooth it down, try and flatten the road so you get this even bumpier road with just random blobs of asphalt on top of it. I'm not joking either. It's like it's absolutely absurd. It's not like they do it just for like country roads or out of the way roads. It's like I-30. It's like let's go ahead and just dump some asphalt on that thing. I don't know. I, I I do not understand. Anyway, variant covers. I don't like variant covers, primarily because they tend to be, in my mind, they're a bit of a drug, and it's an unhealthy drug where you can spike the numbers of your comics, but you appeal to the wrong people to build a sustainable audience. And by the way, when I say the wrong people, if somebody's handing you money, they're the right people, but all the same, variant covers appeal to speculators, and speculators are in it in many cases for the short haul, not the long haul. And so if you're trying to build a sustainable business and you're building out speculators, I think you're running the risk of trouble. Now, there's certainly some of you I know who listen to this channel buy variant covers, and you do it because you like the art, or there's a showcase artist that you want to have on your cover, and that's fine. Okay, good for you. But the practice itself, I think, just creates this erosion of the overall fundamentals of comics, and before you know it, you're making comics for the collectability, or not the collectability factor, but the hoping of flipping the comic. To me, it's just a trap. And once you're in it, it's hard to get out of it because if you suddenly withdraw from variants, then your numbers are going to go down. Then you've got a different problem on your hands. So it's like you have to kind of be in it once you start, and then keep going. And I think, it it just props up unnatural The biggest, put it this way, the biggest issue I have with variants are not the companies that are putting out a bunch of variants for issue 7, issue 8, or a bunch of variants. Like, you have your main cover and you have one variant cover. Okay, I still don't think it's healthy, but there's a big difference between that and you publish a brand new number one comic, like 40 variants. Because a lot of those variants are, done for comic shops. It's like, if you order 5,000 copies of this comic, then we'll do a variant for you. That's why if you're into Midtown Comics in New York, you'll see variants that you can't see anywhere else because they're Midtown exclusive variants. And so the company basically overbuys comics that are going to go directly into the quarter bin or the dollar bin or whatever. Thanks, Biden. Whatever inflation is doing for us, and basically they're putting their hands on the Midtown variant, which they know somebody will buy for $50 or something. So it's basically like, I can afford to throw 10 comics in the trash in order to get this one comic. And it's just an unhealthy balance. It's also why when you look at some of those sales numbers videos, you see like the number one spikes, and then the issue 2 is like less than half of the total number. But the economics of variance, this reader is questioning here. It says, "Dear Perchenheimer," nice. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one. I like it. I was just thumbing through the solicits for this week's releases and absent-mindedly working my way through the endless gallery of variant covers when a thought hit me. Does the additional sales of variant covers offset the cost of having the cover art commissioned in the first place? I know that it probably wouldn't be a massive cost or undertaking factoring into your printing. Are there any metrics for seeing how much sales spec variant covers have on a given book, either individual variants or all of them combined? Yes, if you're the company, you definitely see it. If you're kind of, now with complete kind of obscured comic numbers, nobody can see it, but it's very hard to get to unless you happen to work for the company. Every now and then I get to see a few. Like when I'm friends with an editor, the editor will tell me, Like, oh, here's how this variant cover did. And and by the way, the variant cover game, I think increasingly is moving toward a, 1 to 2, and then a lot of, buy it, but the number is dropping. It's like buy 5,000 copies to get a variant cover. No, buy 1,000 copies, get a variant cover. I saw some out now that are like buy 100 copies, get a variant cover. So it's dropping relatively fast anyway. Um, DC has 44 approximate alternate or variant covers on the slate this week. Um, and assuming an average price for a cover art commission was $1,000, so I know individual rates can fluctuate wildly, that would put the cost on purely additional covers at $44,000 for this week's publication. Specifically, this seems too bonkers to make any physical sense from where I'm looking at. Is there something I'm missing here? Much love for Ireland. Says, P.S. I've been a massive fan of the show for years. Thank you. And I want to say thank you for being the true voice of sense and reason in very strange times. Your advice and reflections on comics and the business have been hugely important to me. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm either an inspiration or a pure bastard. I try to be one of the two. Sometimes both. Um, it does make sense. So it's a good question. So I can kind of break it out for you this way, although this is more of a general answer. So if you have as a general rule of thumb, if you have a main comic or a bigger name comic, and in this case, I'm going to take an average, not like a X-Men #1 where they're doing variants, but let's say it's an issue of Batman, which is a top comic, but it's not a #1 relaunch or anything. We're not talking about the variants for the Hush series or anything. Generally speaking, the comic publishers hook about 5,000 copies on a comic like that, Batman, 5,000 copies on a variant cover. So 5,000 copies, if you're DC and you're making about, $1.50 in margin from that comic, you're talking about, $7,500 that you're going to make on the variant cover. If you get it for one, you've got a nice little profit. The artist will get some variant art that they can sell, some original art they can do something with, providing they're not doing it digitally. It's why you see a lot of the variant artists do actually do the work in pen and ink. Like you'll notice that a lot of comic art is going digital, but a lot of the variant cover artists continue to do pen and ink or do it on paper. And reason being because they want to go sell that. And selling a variant cover for a copy like Batman, if you're a decent artist, if you're one of the bigger names, you can maybe get 20 grand for it as an artist. So you're willing to do that piece for like $1,000, or sometimes even less. You're seeing because it's better for you. You know you're going to make money off the back end when you sell this original piece of art. So you'll go lower for the the publisher that's paying you. And if DC is making about 5,000 copies that they can tag that piece of art, then at $1.50 margin, again $7,500, it works. There's also another factor that publishers count on, which is, and I don't know that this math works, but the publishers are very convinced of it. And here, I think their numbers are far better than mine. So let's assume that their logic works. Um, if you do a variant cover for, say, issue #3, then it will have some spillover effect to issue #4, even if there is no variant. The other thing that happens is they're more and more doing, they'll do set variants where basically it's the Batman Hush variant edition, and so they do 10 variant covers all set in the Hush theme, and collectors will go and buy all 10. So even if they weren't interested necessarily in this particular artist variant cover or this particular title's variant cover, then they'll buy that too. So there's a halo effect to doing the variant. And sometimes these get stupid, like Marvel will do a, superheroes with pets variant line and or the Venomized variant line. And so you get those kinds of things. And people, will buy more than one copy. They'll buy several in order to get it done. Um, So I think, there's a little bit of an auxiliary effect that they believe happens where sales carry over from one issue to the next. Collectors will buy more variant covers if they're in a set type format. And then it gets to the thing I mentioned earlier, which you get some, guaranteed sales if you can go to some of the bigger like Mile High or Midtown or places like that and say, "Hey, you buy the variant, or you sign up for 500 copies, and we'll do a variant, for you," and they get to spike the number off that way. And so you can acclimate the amount you're paying for that variant for that particular company. So, you know, if you think in terms of comics and really, I used a dollar 50. You could use anywhere from $1 to $1.50 in margin, and you think that ways, then you've got $1, 500 copies. You could basically sell, you get $500 of variance off this. So if you sell 500 copies, so that's smaller indies. That's often how the math works. It's like, all right, so go to an artist, say, we'll give you, we'll let you do a variant. We're only going to be $500 for it. We know we can make that back, so it's a wash. We're not making any money off that, but we have a guaranteed sales for it. But we get to say that it's an extra 500 copies, so we get some bragging rights, and maybe if people show up to number one because of the variant, and we've got more copies in the store, well then, there's more likelihood that issue number two will have 200 extra orders. So yeah, it kind of goes like that. Basically, a lot of publishers are trying to build a habit with the comic retailer, because the screwy thing about a B2B to C business is the B, in this case, a publisher, is selling to the comic shop, not you, the fan. And in selling to the comic shop, they know that several things that are going to motivate that comic shop are not the same things that are going to motivate you, the customer or the fan. So in the comic shop, the one thing that comic publishers desperately try and do is build a habit. And so one of the ways they try and build a habit is, through kind of very steady ordering. There's proof, and any retailer will tell you that if they get you to order, say, 25 copies of, Power Girl, and then the next month rolls around, you're automatically going to put in 25 copies. And so if they can hook you with a few extra orders because of a variant, if basically they say, you'll qualify for a variant if you order 25 copies, so maybe the store orders 26 so they can get the variant or whatever it happens to be, then they know that next month, whether there's a variant or not, a lot of comic shops will be in the habit of writing in 25 and will do it again. So they're hoping to kind of sell that way as well. The whole thing is, again, it's kind of a sales and marketing, I say con game, but it's not nefarious. I mean, everybody knows what's going on. It's not like the retailer is getting kind of hoodwinked in this process. It's just, it takes advantage of things that it kind of, to my point when I started this video, they're not normal buying behavior, and it's not selling on necessarily the story or the quality of the book. It's selling on other things. And I think over time that becomes a problem. But your mileage may vary. Anyway, thanks for being a fan of the show. Hope that helped. And thanks for listening.